we like to give ourselves deadlines.
Yes.
It feels good. In fact, we have a calendar that we share, and we will put those goal dates in that calendar. If it's not a pitch and it is an original that we are speccing,
Yes.
there's two things. One, I don't think we ever give ourselves a time limit on cracking an idea.
Yes.
It's the most important part of the process. If you don't love your idea, you're going to fumble through the entire rest of what you're doing. And so while we like to come up with ideas quickly, we won't start outlining until we feel we're ready.
Yeah.
And so that sometimes will take 2 days, and sometimes it'll take 2 weeks. In this case, I actually feel like we're about ready. So
I do too.
13 hours.
And it's interesting. I've got that, there's a moment where you start to feel like angsty.
Yeah.
And I think that's
well,
I want to get to the next
through the
part.
characters. We know the arcs and the themes and the major beats, and that's what you need before you start an outline. So, I think that once you get past that cracking an idea, we like to give ourselves deadlines.
Yes.
It feels good. In fact, we have a calendar that we share, and we will put those goal dates in that calendar.
Absolutely.
We will say, in fact, today, if we start our outline today, we will say, we want this outline done by this date. Yeah. And it doesn't always happen.
It doesn't always happen, but I would say most of the time it does.
Most of the time it does. And I think the reason it's really good to do that is because one day we all will be working for an employer and we will be on deadlines. And I think even with your spec material, it's an opportunity to continue to get better and better and better at meeting those deadlines.
Particularly if you want to write in television, I'll say.
Oh, yeah.
If you are going to be moving towards writing in television, you have to get really good at that. We haven't ever worked, while we've written a lot of pilots for shows, sold a bunch of shows. None of our shows have been made yet. That's all going to change very soon, though. Watch this space. But it will be, you have a week to write this episode.
Yeah, and we actually, even on our pilot, when you work in broadcast, I mean, we sold a pilot to the CW. And they're on such a tight, like the schedule is so rigid that if you do not deliver on like the day that they need that draft by, you miss your opportunity to get.
And I think on that particular one, we were doing an adaptation of a book called The House of the Scorpion. I think we did miss the opportunity. I think we missed it.
We might have, because what happened is we had a draft in on that was in on time for consideration, but we hadn't had the draft. They hadn't had an opportunity to give us notes.
That's right.
And so because they had to get it to all the other people that all have to say yes, they hadn't had an opportunity. And part of that, it's a very long story. We'll go into it one day on a riff. It's not worth going into right now. But in the creative process, when you're developing, sometimes people change their minds. And then it's up to you as the writer to facilitate what the most important person in the room's ideas are. That's
right.
And you've got to roll with it. And sometimes you've already done 2 weeks of work. You're supposed to be on to the next step. And they go, we're actually thinking we want to change the whole thing.
Yeah, it was the exact experience on that particular one, wasn't it? But,